Hey, what's up guys? So today I'm going to explain the basics of my modified version of the Texas method in case you guys want to give it a try, or maybe you'll come across some ideas that you like and will want to implement them into your own programming. The original Texas method is a 3 times a week full body split. It's set up as a volume day, a recovery day, and an intensity day. So let's work backwards from the intensity day. On the intensity day, you work up to one top set of 5. On the volume day, you'll do a 5x5 with anywhere between 70 to 90% of whatever intensity day weight you plan on using. You want at least a 10% gap between the two. Once you decide what percentage is appropriate for you, you stick with it until it becomes too difficult to maintain. Then you'll need to reset and drop the percentage down. On recovery day, you'll do 80 to 90% of whatever you did on volume day and with less sets. So it's kind of like a micro deload within the week. There are 2 weeks. The main pressing movement for the week alternates between the bench press and the overhead press. So you squat 3 times a week, bench and overhead press every other workout, and deadlift only once a week. To progress, you simply add anywhere between 2.5 pounds to 10 pounds to your lifts on the intensity day, and everything else will follow within the week. When progressing with that top set of 5 becomes too difficult, you can then switch to 2 sets of 3 and continue to increase the weight. When that becomes too difficult, then you can switch to 5 singles and continue to add weight. It's important to note that no matter what rep you're using on deadlifts, it's always just one set. This can go on forever until you decide to test for a new 1 rep max and then reset. A good starting point for that top set of 5 on intensity day is about 80% of your 1 rep max. A good starting point for your volume day weights is around 70%, but you'll have to find what's appropriate for you. But like I said before, it should be anywhere between 70 to 90% of your intensity day weights. Eventually, in order to progress, you may need to switch to an upper-lower body split. This is because eventually you will become advanced enough that in order to stretch your body enough per session to disrupt homeostasis and induce favorable adaptations to occur, you need to do more volume through adding more accessory work. If you stick with a full body split, with the added volume coming from the accessory work, each training session would take way too long and you would lose focus and energy near the end of your training session, and so the quality of the work you would do would suffer. So here's one of many examples of how you can set up your training schedule as a 4-day split. For other examples, check out the 3rd edition of Practical Programming by Mark Ripperto. The Kindle version is available for $10 on Amazon. I highly recommend that you get this book for programming information in general. So here are my modifications that I made to the Texas method to suit my needs and also to make it more specific to powerlifting. I jokingly call it the Massachusetts method. It's still a 4-day split with an optional day in the middle to do some back work. So one problem with the Texas method is that you're supposed to always use a 5x5 for your volume day work. This can become extremely fatiguing, and also it's just plain boring. For more info on why I think it's important to vary the rep ranges, check out my previous video. The progression principle that was applied to the intensity day is now applied to the volume day as well. So you start with 4 sets of 7 reps, and you can continue to increase the weights and progress with it over time until it becomes too difficult, and then you switch over to 5 sets of 5. When that becomes too difficult, you'll switch over to 8 sets of 3. You can draw out your progress much longer this way. And instead of progressing in only increments of weight such as 5 pounds, you can also progress using percentages. I recommend using 1.25 or 2.5% at the most. Another issue with the Texas method was that it was not specific enough to powerlifting due to the fact that there's a 1-to-1 ratio in terms of importance between the overhead press and the bench press. I've taken care of this by making the bench press strictly the primary pressing movement. The overhead press is now a secondary exercise after the bench. To progress with the overhead press, you simply add weight to your 3 sets of 5 on intensity day each week and use anywhere between 70 to 90% of that weight for your volume day work. One of the biggest problems I had with the Texas method was that there was basically only one top set of deadlifts for the entire week. This caused me to stall quite quickly on deadlifts. When I added in more volume, I immediately saw progress again and my technique improved immensely. So after the top set of deadlifts on intensity day, reduce the weight by at least 10% and continue to do sets until you either get a total of 5 working reps in, including the first top set, or until you reach an RPE 9 or 9.5. The once a week frequency of deadlifting was an issue as well. However, if I added in volume day work that's exactly the same as the squat and the bench press, it would be extremely taxing for my body and I wouldn't be able to recover in time to do well on the intensity day. So here's what I did to work around this. I would do my deadlift work on volume day dynamic effort style. So I would use a weight that's as low as 50% and just do triples, doubles, or singles with around 30 seconds of rest in between each set. This dynamic effort style of training allowed me to get the frequency in that I needed to improve and maintain my technique. But when done explosively and with short rest intervals, my body responded to it in a similar way as if I was doing traditional hypertrophy work, but without as much fatigue. I don't think power cleans and snatches have that much carryover to powerlifting, so instead I replaced them with Romanian deadlifts and upper back work. Lastly, I incorporated auto-regulation because I think it's a good idea to do more reps if you feel good and hold back and just hit the minimum reps when you're not feeling so hot. For more info about how I currently feel about auto-regulation, check out my previous video. So let's take a look at how the progression may look if you lay it out in terms of percentages. So here I periodized it out into 4-week blocks. You can work with 5 or 6 week blocks if you want, and not every block has to be the same length. You can start your intensity day weights at 80% and work your way up in 2.5% increments. Then you can switch to 2 sets of 3 after a deload, and continue to increase the weights, deload, then switch to 5 singles, and hopefully you'll be setting some PRs along the way. Doing 5 singles with 100% of your max at the end of the cycle may seem crazy, but remember, you're getting stronger along the way, so your real max has likely gone up. The same idea applies to volume day as well. Here's what the percentages for the deadlift might look like. Note that this doesn't include the back offsets on intensity day, and you don't have to periodize it this way. You can turn it into a weekly undulating style program too, so you can cycle through all the rep schemes in 1 month, deload, and then repeat with added weight. So here's my tentative game plan for my bench, and I'll adjust it as I go along. And here's how it looks in terms of percentages. And don't stick to any hard and fast percentages, adjust it as you need to. You want to set up so that these last weeks before the deloads are ideally challenging, or even better yet, will set a new PR. Finally, let's talk about the deload. There are no deloads and not enough fatigue management was implemented into the original Texas method. So here's what I have planned. All accessory work is dropped. There's mostly volume that contributes to accumulation of fatigue. So by dropping all the accessory work, we give our bodies a nice chance to drop the accumulated fatigue. When doing upper-lower splits, or even worse, 1 lift a day splits, a common problem lifters who run those types of programs run into is that when meet day comes, they're totally unprepared to do all the main lifts on one day. So to combat that, during the deload week, you do all the main lifts on workout A, dynamic effort style. 5 doubles for squats, 5 triples for bench, 5 singles for deadlifts, with 50% and 30 seconds in between each set. On workout B, you work up to a very conservative max single and do a very conservative mock meet with no intentions to PR. You're just getting used to doing all 3 lifts on one day. You can cap it off at whatever intensity you want for each block, just to make sure you don't go overboard. Again, it's mostly volume that builds up fatigue, so calmly working up to a very conservative single will not interfere with the deloading process, but it will do a lot to maintain neuromuscular efficiency and to mentally prep you for meet conditions. There's only 2 gym sessions during the deload week because not only do our bodies need a break, but our minds need a break from the gym as well. So that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful and gave you some ideas. Please like the video if you liked it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Subscribe if you like this type of content. I'll talk to you guys next time. And don't forget to put your goddamn weights away!